Today on Community Cooking, we have guest chef Jeff Kawakami in our kitchen cooking up a red wine braised short rib served with cauliflower bacon fried rice. Yum! We're cooking with some of the best chefs from right here in our own community, so grab a seat and get comfortable. We have another great meal for you. This is your Community Cooking. Hi, and welcome to Community Cooking. I'm your host, Maria Prekeges, and I'm super excited to have our guest chef, private chef and caterer, everything extraordinaire, Jeff Kawakami. How's that for an intro?
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. I appreciate it.
I love it. Well, and I love your history, and we'll get to that in a little bit, your experience, but short ribs?
Short ribs. They sound fancy, like they're going to be hard, but actually, they're very simple.
Well, let's go over the ingredients because
Yes.
there's not a lot here, and I love that.
Yeah, a lot of things I like to do, I like to keep easy, you know, and I let the flavors speak for themselves. So we have our beautiful short ribs, and this is just, it's a beef rib, and you can go to your butcher and have them cut it down to any size you want. Then we have our onions, celery, and carrots, of course, our lovely aromatics. So we're using a whole head of garlic.
I love it.
It's going to be delicious. And then I bundle our herbs together so we can pick them all out easier.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a great, and do you just bundle them with twine? Something
Yeah,
that can go in there?
yeah, kitchen twine.
Okay.
And it's just oregano, parsley, thyme, which is one of my favorite herbs, and oregano. And then we have 2 bay leaves.
Okay. But
And
you
then-
obviously want to take those out before we eat it too.
Yeah,
so
they're
that's
not
easy.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah, and then we have tomato paste and then some all-purpose flour.
And then a big vat of red wine.
Red wine. Well, I mean that's part of it's red wine braised ribs, so you got to have the red wine.
What the
and then
heck?
of course beef stock.
I love it. Let's talk a little bit more about the short ribs before we get
Yes. You
cooking.
wanna hand this to me?
Because when you get them at a restaurant, and
Thank
I
you.
love this because I always think it's fancy, but when you get them at a restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have the bone in them usually. Some do. So you can get them with or without?
Yes, well, there's 2 different kinds of short ribs you can get. So you can get bone-in short rib, which is what we have here, and which I like this because the bone really does add a lot of flavor.
Okay.
And then you can get the boneless short rib, and it's still good, but it's actually less expensive. They're tough cuts of meat, and that's the reason we're going to braise it. So any kind of tough cut of meat, it's going to require the low and slow cooking, and I think things have more flavor when you cook them longer. So that's one of the reasons I really like this.
And we're just putting a little salt and pepper on them.
Salt and pepper all over them, yeah. Just get those seasoned up, and then we're going to get them in some hot oil and browned on each side.
Okay. And they do. Now, you could do this in a slow cooker, too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Could you hand me the oil, please?
I can assist. That I can do. And any big pot.
Any big
will
pot,
work.
yes. Any big pot with a lid. That is the key that can go in
Okay.
the oven. So I'm going to put this in here. I like to shake it around a little bit
Okay.
because that's going to help you be able to move it. You know, sometimes when you stick things in a hot pan and they
Yep.
stick, and then you're like, oh my gosh. Well, if you just take it, rub it around a little bit,
Just a little shake.
yeah, it helps the meat acclimate. It knows it's going to be cooking.
You're not giving me a little shake, just
little-
the
little-
meat.
little
There
shimmy,
we
little
go.
shimmy with the
Thank
beef.
you.
Yeah.
We like to have fun in this kitchen. So
Absolutely.
you're
Cooking
fitting
should be
right
fun.
in.
Yeah.
You're fitting right in.
So yeah, it's just going to take a few minutes just to get these nice and brown.
Okay.
And then the next step is going to, of course, be onto the mirepoix, which of course, it's a fancy way of saying
I was
your
like, ooh
onions,
la
carrots,
la.
and celery. Yeah.
Yeah.
So once these are browned, we're going to take them out and put them back on the plate, and it's okay because they're not fully cooked. I know some
I'm
people
looking
get
at
afraid.
you going, no, I don't think so.
Well, in my I do catering, so people are always like, well, isn't there someone there to wash dishes? This guy. I
So-
wash the dishes. So if I can use as few dishes as possible, so this is already dirty. These aren't going to be fully cooked.
So it's okay. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, a little browning
it
on there.
smells so good. And look at that. It doesn't take long at all just to brown them.
If you have a good hot pan, and this is a nice pot too. It's a very heavyweight pot.
And you got the pan hot and then added the oil.
Correct. Yes.
That's important because a lot
It
of times
is.
I'll heat the oil, things will splatter, it's a mess.
Yeah. Always get your pan hot first, and then you put the oil in, and then you put your vegetables, your meat, or whatever. Because sometimes if you're going to saute something and you have a cold pan, you put the oil in there, you put your vegetables, it just starts soaking them up, and you get really greasy food.
So that I never do. I always put the oil in, let it heat with the pan.
I have friends who don't preheat the oven. They'll just put nuggets on a sheet pan and then
Oh,
pop it in the oven and then turn it on.
Oh,
yeah.
Lord.
That really just happened, actually.
That is so funny. Well, and this, it's kind of like, we ate a lot of stew growing up.
Yes.
We had a rabbit stew and beef stew and all sorts of weird stews being Greek.
Love it.
But you could use different meat if you don't use a short rib.
Absolutely, yeah. You could use rabbit. You could use, well, actually, yeah, rabbit's great. And also, like lamb. I love lamb. You can use goat. Anything that's going to be a tough cut of meat.
Okay.
And because when you cook it low and slow, it helps break down the connective tissue and makes, super soft, delicious.
Well, and we were talking before, a lot of times at restaurants, you get them without the bone, but usually when this is done, it falls off the bone.
Yes, the bones, some
Anyway.
of them, sometimes it stays on,
Yeah.
and, you can use it as a presentation piece, but a lot of times, yeah.
Oh my gosh, those are beautiful already. I'd say let's eat them, but well,
So
we'll
I'm gonna-
actually cook them.
Yeah, I'm going to pour a little bit of this fat out, because we don't want
Okay.
all of it.
Alrighty.
And I would do this onto paper towels, so we have
Okay.
paper towels on top of the trash. That way you're not burning through your trash bag.
That's probably a good idea. I've only started one fire on this show, so let's keep it at one.
All right, all the vegetables go in.
Okay. And you don't have to worry because they're all pretty hearty vegetables. A lot of times I I have to do the carrots first because they'll take the longest, but again, we're cooking it for so long,
Yeah,
it's okay.
everything, what we really want to do, so we got a little fond on the bottom, that's the brown, delicious stuff.
Okay.
And so we're going to put the vegetables in, and what I always do whenever I'm sauteing vegetables, I always add a pinch of salt because it's going to help break down the vegetable and take the moisture out.
Okay.
So it's going to get softer faster, but also they're going to leach out all of their liquid, and it's going to take off that fond off the bottom of the pot.
So you don't have to scrape it and ruin your pan.
No. Just let it go. Yeah.
See, I'm too impatient in the kitchen, and I do. I love to cook. I love hosting the show because I learned so much, because I would never do this at home.
Yeah.
I'd be too chicken.
You know, a lot of people are afraid of this, and I was actually talking to my sister just the other day because she rushes things, and I'm always, because like, she always calls me in the middle of cooking, and she's making gravy, and she's like, well, I think I have to take it off the heat. It's bubbling too fast, and I was like, well, just turn it down, like, just turn down the stove.
Yeah.
And she was like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, it's like last time I told her how to make bacon. I always put bacon in the oven, and I was like, you're going to be tempted to turn it up to cook it faster, but
Yeah.
you're just going to burn it. And she called me. She burned the bacon.
No,
Yeah.
even when you do bacon on a pan, and our next recipe calls for bacon, even if I lay it out straight, if it's too hot on the stove, it totally burns it.
Yeah. You just got to have
Patience in the kitchen. I've
yeah.
learned that over the years.
Yeah.
Took me a while.
So now we're going to throw in, this is 3 tablespoons of flour,
Okay.
and this is going to help thicken up
And
our
you want
sauce.
flour, not cornstarch.
Correct, yes. If you added 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, you would be very sad.
Yeah, you.
It would not be the
You would
desired
cry.
results. Yeah.
Well, and a lot of people, not a lot, people who know cooking know you shouldn't replace one for the other.
Correct.
Because they're their own different elements, but still,
Correct.
some people do. Some of my friends do.
Yeah, flour.
You would be sad.
You'd be very sad.
To be sad with our short ribs.
No, this is a happy dish.
Yes.
So what you're doing right now is you're cooking the flour, because the flour has a very raw flavor. And also, if you brown it a little bit, it's going to give it a little bit of a nutty flavor.
Oh.
So this does add flavor. It's not just a thickener. There's important qualities.
Cooking flour. You don't hear
Cooking.
that every day. So.
Well, you don't eat raw flour.
No, this is true. This is true. Sometimes, it takes
Yeah.
me a minute.
So,
And then tomato paste.
tomato paste. This is a tablespoon of tomato paste.
It's
And this is-
always, tomato paste comes in small cans, but you always have leftovers. And
Always.
then I never use it again for like 3 more weeks. So they're
Well,
cheap cans, just buy one.
Yeah, and
Use it.
I use it a lot, so I have like the big jar. And sometimes
see.
you can go to fancy grocery stores and they have the paste in a tube. So it's like toothpaste.
Oh, that's nice.
And then you have a cap and you can just put it right back on.
Yeah.
That's the fancy tomato
I don't
paste.
get that fancy. I get what's on sale in a can.
This
but-
was a giant jar. It was
Oh
on
my
sale.
gosh, that's
But I'm
sweet.
gonna use it. I know
Yeah.
I'm gonna go through it.
Well, and talk about, while you're stirring that up,
Mm-hmm.
how'd you get into chefing and catering?
Well, I've always loved to cook. Always. Even when I was a little kid, it was like a hobby of mine. I would have my friends over, and I'd make them dinner, and I would always be experimenting, making like
He's
French
making
bread.
a gourmet dinner.
Yeah. I used to like candy almonds and that kind of stuff. I would make soft pretzels when I was a kid. And so when I was 23, I decided to go to culinary school. And that's the reason I moved to Los Angeles, actually, because I went to Le Cordon Bleu in Pasadena.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Fabulous. So, yes, he does know what he's doing. I kind of figured, but.
So we have the flour, the tomato paste, everything's kind of cooking
Yeah.
up, and it's sticking to the bottom, which is good. because anything that caramelizes on the bottom of the pan, that's just more flavor.
Yeah.
So now we're going to put the red wine in. And I'm going to do this in stages.
Okay.
First,
I thought you were saving me the rest, but I get it. We'll use it all. That's fine.
we can drink the wine. It's fine. I'm down with drink some wine. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm scraping off. That's why also I love this tool.
Yes.
It's so good for this because now I'm scraping all of that stuff off the bottom.
And it's wooden, so you're not wrecking your pan.
I'm not. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be gentle to this pan. It's a good pan.
It's a good pan.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite pans.
It's going to be a happy dish and a good pan. What more do we want?
All right, so that scraped up, and I got a lot of stuff off the bottom. So now I'm going to add my ribs back in.
So you do now. Gotcha.
Yeah. So get those nestled in.
They look good even. Just browned. I'll take the dirty.
Thank you very much.
That's what I do here. I take dirty dishes.
So I'm going to put red wine in here just to cover, and then we're going to reduce this by half.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn up the heat.
And how long does that usually take, reducing it by half?
It's going to take about 20, 25 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, it's, once again, you got to be patient. It's a process.
You can be hyperactive and patient, because that's me. And then the herbs don't go in until later, after it's reduced?
After it reduces, then we're going to put them in, because these are delicate. The herbs are delicate. We want to treat them gently. And isn't that cute?
I love this. And by the way, don't use rubber bands.
Don't use rubber band. Yes. No,
that would be a no.
That would not taste lovely.
And they are, but that's easy because then you just pick them out.
Fish it right out. And also, I have oregano in here, and I like fresh oregano. I think dried oregano can be very overpowering. And what I do too, how many times have you gone to the store, bought fresh herbs, and you only use like this much, and then you have all this left over, and they just go bad, right? Well, what I do is I take them and I lay them out on a paper towel in my fridge or on a counter, and I let them dry. And then you have your own like fresh dried thyme and fresh dried oregano. Or rosemary, and it's so much better than anything you'll buy in a jar.
Well, it's funny you say oregano dried can be overpowering because being Greek, it was in everything.
Everything,
and
for sure.
the last few years, I've kind of stopped using it. And then my friends who came back from Greece brought the fresh dried. Totally different, but yeah, the fresh isn't as, it doesn't even smell as strong.
All right, so this is already thickening up. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
It's much thicker. So we're gonna take our beef stock, and we're gonna just do it to cover, because this is a braise, and that's what a braise is when you're slow cooking something in liquid, and you don't want there to be too much liquid, but you want enough to keep everything moist and these ribs submerged. Also, I have the bones on top.
I was going to say, you put them, and so all the meat and all the juices are going to go.
Exactly.
Kind of like how you bake a ham or turkey sometimes. They say do it breast side down because then all the juices get in it.
Yes, so now we'll get all the aromatics in. So.
And are you just putting this whole thing in?
Yeah, oh yeah. You can just fish it right out. It's going to give it, it's also not too strong. Yeah. So people who don't like a lot of garlic flavor, it won't be completely offensive, but you're going to have all this warm, soft,
and then you can take the garlic out and spread it on toast when you're done, almost like roasting it.
Oh, it's so good that way. So this, easy, lid goes on, we pop it in the oven. So if
I'm gonna, you already brought one.
I did, with the magic of TV.
I love the magic of TV. I'm going to use all my muscles to get it out.
That's the real cast iron.
It is a big one, and thank goodness all right, let me put it down in front of you.
Yes, thank you.
Oh my gosh, it smells so good. I'm going to pop this one in the oven.
All right, could you hand me that pot holder too?
I was
this is the thing that people forget. It happens. I've done it so many times.
Hot.
Yeah. This little knob right here is hot.
Oh yeah, because it's been in the oven for. Yeah. Oh my word!
Look at that bubbling goodness.
I just want to do this all day.
Yeah.
Oh, what is it?
I'm actually going to put this back on the stove because we want the sauce to reduce a little bit. I'm just going to put it on low, and oh yeah, see how that's bubbling?
I mean, well, it just came out of a hot oven.
Yeah.
It's going to bubble quickly on the stove. Look at that.
And look, there's our herbs.
Yeah, so you just take those out.
Take those right out. Wow, I'm going to knock this to low.
Oh my word.
There are
basil.
Our bay leaves.
Bay leaf, I mean, sorry.
Yeah,
I do know the difference. It starts with a B, it's something.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And look at these short ribs. Yeah, the bone just fell off right now.
Oh, all right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. Plate these up because I can't take the smell any longer. And we come back, cauliflower, bacon,
fried rice.
Cauliflower, bacon, fried rice. You don't want to miss it. Don't go anywhere.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. Yeah. Well, we're going to make it, so it's going to be a thing if it's not. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Community Cooking. Welcome back to Community Cooking. If you're just tuning in, I'm your host, Maria Prekeges, and I am with my good friend and guest chef and caterer, Jeff Kawakami. I'd just like to say your name.
Thank you.
It's so much fun. Now, we just made red wine braised short ribs.
Yes.
Say that 5 times fast. We don't have to because we're going to taste them. Red wine braised short ribs. And now, kind of a twist on fried rice, it's going to be cauliflower bacon.
Yes. Bacon goes in everything. Well, see.
I love it. I'm down with that.
Well, fried rice is a family dish.
Yes.
Like anytime we have a get together, my sister normally makes the fried rice, but it's a must. And there's always bacon, mushroom, eggs, and green onions. So that's everything that we have here. But instead, we're doing with cauliflower.
Well, cauliflower is so trendy.
It is right now, and it's kind of flavorless when you come down to it. Like cauliflower by itself really doesn't taste like much, and so you can use it in many different ways. And what I like about this is I have a food processor. So
I was going to say, how'd you get it like this?
Yeah, I put it through the grater attachment, but I mean, you could grate it by hand, but it will get everywhere.
Yeah, no, I'm with the food processor, and then it looks perfect. I mean, it almost looks like rice.
Exactly,
too.
and if you're super lazy, a lot of stores now sell it, and they call them like riced vegetables. They have this for you already chopped up in a bag, and so you can just like dump it in the pan.
Sign me up. So ingredients, you said cauliflower, mushrooms,
bacon, eggs. So bacon, eggs, and mushrooms. I mean, that's a good combination. And then, of course, we're going to finish with green onions and a little soy sauce.
And we were talking about cooking bacon in the first section, in case you missed it. And you like to do in the oven.
Always. I always cook my bacon in the oven. On foil, because I'm lazy and I don't want to have to wash the pan.
Yes,
And if you wrap it properly,
you don't. You got to go high on the side.
Exactly.
But you even reserved a little of the bacon fat.
I always save my bacon fat.
I'm like, that's a lot of bacon fat, my friend.
That's how I like. That's how I like my eggs. I like my eggs cooked in bacon fat.
Well, and look, you're fit. You can do a little bacon fat.
Right, and it's a natural fat.
What the heck?
Yeah. So I'm just getting
she rolls her eyes.
I know. So I'm getting the pan warmed up because we're going to start with our eggs.
Okay. Easy enough. And the bacon, when you do it in the oven too, it's those perfect pieces.
Oh, it's perfectly like cooked, evenly cooked all the way through, and I do it at 350, and it usually takes anywhere from 20, depending on your oven, could take 30 minutes.
And you don't have to flip it, right?
No, you don't have to flip it at all. That's the beautiful part.
And get grease everywhere. And so, okay, I was going to say, I always have a debate on how you crack eggs. I like to do them off and not on.
Correct.
Whole.
I was always told to do it on the counter because when you're doing it on the edge, you're pushing the shells in. And so if you do it on a flat surface, then you're not pushing the shells. So you're less likely to get the shells inside your eggs.
Well, and my tip, which I'm sure you know, is if there is a shell, you take the egg shell and it goes, whoop, it's like a vacuum. It goes right in.
Yeah, the shell likes shell. It doesn't like your finger. It runs away.
I know, or a spoon or anything
else. No. Like attracts like, I guess.
I did crack an egg the other day, and I cracked it so hard, it just went all over my cutting board.
I've done that.
I'm like, whoops, that's a little too hard. Yeah. That's so funny. So just give it a quick little stir, a little whisk. So you have different types of mushrooms in here. There are some furry ones.
Well, on the recipe, you'll notice it says shiitake mushrooms. Well, as a caterer, I'm constantly shopping, and I'm always running to different stores. Well, I got everything I needed, but they didn't have shiitake mushrooms. And I was not going to go to another store just for shiitake mushrooms.
Not for me? I know. Wow, you are fired, man.
No, but they had creminis, and then these are oyster mushrooms.
Okay.
So they have lots of good flavor.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just going to mix those. It'll be fine.
They're cute little furry.
Yeah. The gills.
Oh, they are
Oyster
good.
mushrooms have great flavor.
They do. We like mushrooms of any way, shape, or form. And I think a lot of people don't like to cook with them because of the texture, but they add flavor, so get over it, people.
It's funny, I'm not a big mushroom person, but I'm used to mushrooms in this. Like that's...
Yeah.
So I'm going to season everything whenever I make a dish, especially something that's vegetarian. Well, without the bacon, of course.
Without the bacon.
I always season each element. So I'm making sure that I'm going to season the eggs. And what I love this when it's a big pan.
Oh, I was going to say, it's like a little omelet, and
it
it
cooks
cooks
almost
2 seconds.
instantly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And my tip, if eggs are cooked in the pan, they're overcooked on your plate. So.
Oh, I've gotten better at that. I tend to overcook.
People are afraid. They always overcook eggs. But
and you want them a little wet. So if they're cooked in the pan, forget it. So you want them a little wet. Perfect.
I'm just going to skim a little bit more.
A little more bacon fat. Why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we? Well, there's a lot of cauliflower.
There's a lot of cauliflower. And that's one head.
Both of those?
Yes. Yeah, that's one head of cauliflower.
That's one head. That's a lot.
It yields. That's why it's so affordable. It's healthy. It's delicious. And I've made this for people before, and I'm like, oh, by the way, that's cauliflower, and they don't even notice.
Well, like you said, it doesn't have a big flavor, and rice doesn't have a big flavor.
Exactly.
So
It's
it's
going
what
to
you
take
add
on
to
whatever.
It. Yeah. Oh, the
Those
mushrooms. We're going to have one big pan. So since it's bacon, cauliflower, not fried rice, because there's no rice.
Correct.
What do we call it? Bacon, cauliflower, cauliflower.
Bacon, cauliflower, cauliflower.
Bacon, cauliflower, fried cauliflower. I like it.
So I'm just going to, the thing with mushrooms is,
I overcook them too, yes.
Do you really?
Sometimes.
So what I want to do is I'm just going to let these sit. Sometimes people mess with stuff too much.
Yes.
I want them to get some color. And it's weird. I've had this debate actually with my sister because she's the one who makes this dish all the time. And you know how people say don't crowd the pan because mushrooms have a lot of liquid in them.
Yeah.
And that's also why I'm not salting them now. I'm going to let them cook first, then I'm salting them after.
Oh, I always salt them during.
And
See what you learn here?
They're a sponge. All that liquid will come out and make it watery. And I'm going to toss in a little bit of green onion. I know you're not a super fan.
I'm not a super fan, but if they're cooked, I'm much better.
Yeah.
My onions have to be cooked of any sort.
I like to flavor the mushrooms while I'm doing this. So.
But not salt, just the...
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I'm listening to them. I'm hearing them. They're starting to cook. A little sizzle. So then I'm going to give them a little toss around.
And here, okay, you'll laugh. I was cooking eggs with a spatula, like you're using, which a lot of people use with cakes and batters.
Yeah.
I was using them to make scrambled eggs for some friends. They're like, "That's gonna melt." I'm like, "Excuse me?"
I know.
Because they were so used to
with
baking, and those spatulas, that's all I use anymore.
This is so useful, and especially when you're cooking and you want to really get under something.
Yeah.
And it's rubber, it's silicone, so it's gentle on the pan. I'm not worried about destroying my pan.
Well, and sometimes you get, the old-fashioned spatulas that you flip eggs with, and now they're not as soft as the silicone. I call them still cake spatulas, although I use it for everything. But yeah, someone was like, "What are you doing? It's gonna melt." And I'm like, "Okay."
You're like,
I've learned something on this show.
You're like, this is your first time here, isn't it?
Yeah, I was like, "This is how I cook my eggs," and I do all my vegetables, everything, stir fries. Yeah. But until you just let them see my patience in the kitchen.
Thing. Yeah, and if you notice, there's not a lot of moisture in there because I haven't salted them yet.
Your sister would disapprove, but that's okay.
I know. She calls me all the time for cooking tips, so I'm not really worried.
Now, she's the fried rice queen, but does she like to cook as much as you?
She's doing more.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, you went to school and all that,
yeah,
so you have all the accreditation.
Yeah, I mean, I have 3 sisters and a brother, and and all of them, actually, I don't know what my brother cooks. He grills. He has a smoker.
I think some people have their thing. I'm a sautéer. It's all above the oven, not in the oven. It's all on the stovetop.
I love the oven because we call it the silent sous chef. Because you just put stuff on pans, you throw it in the oven, and then it's doing its own work back there, and you can do everything else.
The silent sous chef.
The silent
I'm going to use
sous
that.
chef.
I will give you credit, but I'm going to use it.
All right, so they're looking cooked. Okay. So now I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Ooh, another pinch. We always salt high because it helps the salt granules spread out.
Okay.
So that you don't have like a pocket of salt.
Yeah, so you don't go.
Yeah, exactly.
Salt high.
Salt high.
I like it.
All right,
that smells so good already.
Well, yeah, bacon, grease, and mushrooms. I mean
yeah, really. You can't really go wrong with that.
No, it's good.
I love it.
So now we're going to take our bacon.
So the only thing you have to watch with bacon when you cook it and save it for a recipe is that all the hands in the house don't eat it.
Oh, I know. And I like to, I cook with bacon a lot, and so I'll do it in the oven, I let it drain. I make this little, I put pot holders down, and I put a rack in the middle, and I put the pan so it's at an angle, so it drains.
All goes to
and then I take the bacon off, put it on a cutting board, and I keep all the bacon grease. But I'll chop the bacon up, and I'll have it in a Ziploc in my fridge, so that whenever I need something, I can just reach in there and put bacon. I know. I might eat too much bacon.
I'm like, I'm just saying.
I know, maybe I eat too much bacon.
Just
I don't know.
I don't care for sausage, but bacon.
Oh, love me some sausage too.
Breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Okay.
So this looks beautiful. I'm actually going to turn the heat up.
Okay.
Because we're going to toss the cauliflower in.
I can't believe both of these. It's one head.
Yeah.
And yeah, the food processor is our friend.
I love my food processor. It was expensive, and I don't care.
Well, and you catering, I mean,
Yeah.
what's the biggest or smallest party? I mean, do you cater for 2 up to 200 or?
Oh yeah. I do up to 600.
Oh my
Lord.
Yeah.
I have a few parties coming up actually that are around 250. And then sometimes we'll do dinner parties and it's just 12 people, you know?
Which is fun.
Which is a vacation.
Yeah, if you're like 12
After
people,
all that, yeah.
I'll sit down with you and have a drink and eat.
Yeah, they're like, can you cater dinner for 8? I'm like, absolutely. Yes, I would love
Yeah.
to cater dinner for 8.
So look at that.
So
I'm
just
curious
getting
to
this
see.
all.
I love that
Just
you
wanna
can
make sure.
buy the cauliflower like that.
Oh, yeah. If you don't want to go through the work or you don't have a food processor,
Yeah.
you can buy the cauliflower already like this because this
That's
is,
so awesome.
it's true. It's trending. I'm going to throw in a little salt.
I forgot about our eggs. Our eggs are
eggs.
lonely over there.
Well, you don't want to overcook them, so I want to
Yeah.
make sure that everything starts to get a chance before.
Well, and especially with this because you do put them back in the heat.
Exactly.
And only a couple eggs. I would think more for this big thing, but I guess you don't want to overpower it.
Yeah, and you'll see, actually, those 2 eggs are going to get around.
I'm not making a comment. But
I know. All right.
All right, and so
everything looks warm, and now we're going to finish it with the soy sauce.
Okay.
And this is actually low sodium soy sauce. You can use regular. I don't know if it's because I've been living in California for so long that I'm becoming more health conscious
Well,
or something.
You know, you have to. But I
Yeah.
like the low sodium soy too. All right. Well, we're
Yeah.
going to finish this off. We're going to take a quick break, and I cannot wait to taste the short ribs and the cauliflower fried cauliflower.
Cauliflower fried cauliflower.
Fried cauliflower. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Community Cooking.
Alexa, how do you tell if asparagus is still good?
If it's not moldy or slimy, it's okay to eat.
Enable the new skill from Save the Food on your Amazon Alexa and help fight food waste.
Welcome back to Community Cooking. All right, my friend.
Yes.
The time is here. The red wine braised short ribs and
Yeah.
the cauliflower bacon fried cauliflower.
Cauliflower.
Kind of like fried rice cake. I don't know what you're doing, but that's what I'm tasting off of. I'm no dummy. Look, okay, this meat is so tender.
It just falls right apart.
Oh my word. And with the fried cauliflower, like fried rice, I'm taking one of each. Are you kidding me?
That meat's just melting.
The meat melts. The red wine gives it a punch, but you can't taste it. And then the herbs. You can really taste all the herbs that are in there.
And it's very simple if you think about it. There's nothing that you're going to have to run to many stores for either. It's very, very simple, but it's delicious.
Okay. People have to try this at home. Don't be afraid. It's not just for a special occasion, or it could be to really impress. But,
Yeah.
wow. All right. Well, we'll see. Oh,
I know.
okay. Anyway, thank you so much for coming in. Your recipes were
thank you.
amazing.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was fun.
Oh, so much fun.
Yeah.
I really hope you all try this at home. For myself, Mr. Jeff, and the entire crew, thanks for watching. And remember, we really do have some of the best chefs right here in our own community. Thanks again. We'll see you on Community Cooking.
If you'd like a copy of the recipes seen on this show, send us a self-addressed stamped envelope to the Office of Cable and Community Relations. That's 3350 Civic Center Drive, Suite 200, in Torrance, California, 90503. Be sure to note the show number displayed on the screen. And don't forget, you can find all the fresh ingredients used on today's show at the Farmers Market. Visit the one here in Torrance at Wilson Park. That's located at 2200 Crenshaw Boulevard. They're open every Tuesday and Saturday from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m., rain or shine. And if you'd like to be a guest on our show, email us at communitycooking@torranceca.gov and check us out online at youtube.com/TorranceCityCable and like us on Facebook at Community Cooking TV.